حاصل المعارف فيما من مواسم العام من الوظائف لابن راجب الحنبلي. This book by Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali is called Al-Ma'arif, the subtleties of knowledge. فيما لمواسم العام, with each season of the year. من وظائف contains of religious duties. So he's divided the book into various months of the year, and Ramadan naturally has the biggest chapter, 100 pages. So the book in and of itself, there's just so many duties and fawaid and waqa'if associated with Ramadan. So we read some of these inshallah. نسأل الله العافية. وقال المصنف رحمه الله ونفعنا الله به وبكم أجمعين وضعف شهر رمضان المعظم. So he says the duties associated with the great month of Ramadan. وفيه مجالس, and it has many different sections. المجلس الأول في فضل الصيام. The first section deals with the virtue of fasting. So he says رحمه الله ثبت في الصحيحين عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال كل عمل ابن آدم له الحسنات بعشر أمثالها إلى 700 ضعف. قال الله عز وجل إلا الصيام فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به إنه ترك شهوته وطعامه وشرابه من أجلي للصائم فرحتان فرحة عند فطره وفرحة عند لقاء ربه ولا خلوف فم الصائم أطيب عند الله من ريح المسك. So he says that it's been confirmed in the two sound books, Bukhari and Muslim, on the authority of Abu Hurairah. May Allah be pleased with him, from the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. He said every action that human being does is for him or her, whatever the case may be. And good deeds are multiplied 10 times over, up to 700 times over. Allah says, Azza wa Jal, so this is one of the rare hadith, that is hadith nabawi or hadith qudsi. في البداية الحديث عن أبي هريرة وبعد ذلك وقال الله عز وجل. So this is one of the rare hadith that's a prophetic hadith and a divine hadith, hadith qudsi, where the inspiration is the Prophet ﷺ provides the wording and the meaning in the prophetic hadith, and then the meaning is from Allah and the wording is the Prophet ﷺ in the divine hadith, hadith qudsi. So he says, and then Allah says, being mighty and majestic, except fasting, that is mine, and I will reward him for that. He has left his carnal appetites, his food, his drink for my sake. The fasting person will have two delights: the delight when he breaks his fast and the delight when he meets his Lord. And the foul odor that sometimes emanates from the mouth of the fasting person is sweeter with Allah than the fragrance of musk. وفي رواية كل عمل ابن آدم له إلا الصيام فإنه لي. Another version of the hadith says every action the human being does is for him except fasting. Verily that is mine. وفي رواية للبخاري لكل عمل كفارة والصوم لي وأنا أجزي به. وخرجه الإمام أحمد من هذا الوجه. ولفظه كل عمل ابن آدم له كفارة إلا الصوم والصوم لي وأنا أجزي به. So he says another version of the hadith reads that every action the human being does is for him except fasting, that is mine. And then a narration related by Imam Bukhari, every action is an expiation and fasting is mine, I will reward him for that. It's been produced by Imam Ahmed in this particular wording, version of the hadith, and his wording says every action the human being does is a source of expiation or atonement for his sin except fasting, and fasting is mine, I will reward him for this. So he then proceeds to expound on the first version of the hadith and what is accepted. And he says, إِلَّا الصِّيَامَ, so it's accepted from what? The exception, except fasting. So he says, رحمه الله, فعلى الرواية الأولى يكون استثناء الصوم من الأعمال المضاعفة So he says, based on the first version of the hadith, the fasting is exempted from the actions that are multiplied. In other words, our prayer, our hajj, our zakat, our Quran, our azkar, our rad, amr bil ma'ruf, nahy anil munkar, all of our righteous deeds are multiplied 10 to 700 times, except fasting. That has a different scale of measurement. So he says the exemption is from the deeds that are multiplied. الأعمال المضاعفة. فتكون الأعمال كلها تضاعف بعشر أمثالها ل700 ضعف إلا الصيام فإنه لا ينحصر تضعيفه في هذا العدد. So he says all of the actions are multiplied by 10 times up to 700 times, except fasting. Its reward is not limited to this enumeration. بل يضاعفه الله عز وجل أضعافا كثيرة بغير حصر العدد. Rather, Allah multiplies it many times over without any numerical limitation. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Fasting. Then he explains why that is. فقال فإن الصيام من الصبر. Because fasting is a manifestation of patience. It's not over 5 minutes, the salat's over. So qiyam. That's salatul kusuf. Then it's 3 or 4 hours. But generally, fasting 5 minutes is over. Allahu Akbar, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalam. And zakat, write the check, it's over. Get the goats together, give them to the khalas, it's over. Hajj even, few days now, fly in, do the rituals, fly out, it's over. Fasting a whole month. Fasting from dawn to dusk. Now the days are getting long. So, some they're longer up in the Bay Area. What's up with that? And I came down here, I got scared. They made you done, I ate some dates, looked at my clock, it was like 7:18. And I thought I had to make the day up. And the Bay is 7:40. I'm like, man, y'all messed me up. It was over at 7:13. I said, okay, alhamdulillah. But as we go into the summer, the days will get longer and longer. So fasting takes a lot of patience. They're going to get hotter and hotter. It's going to be in August. It's going to be in July. So the days are going to get longer and hotter. It takes patience, 29 to 30 days. So he says fasting is from patience. وقال الله تعالى إنما يوفى الصابرون أجرهم بغير حساب. And patience has no limits on its reward. Allah says in the Quran, the fasting people are given their reward with no numerical limits. إنما يوفى الصابرون أجرهم بغير حساب. So if fasting is of patience, fasting has the reward of patience. Patience has no numerical limitations. Fasting has no numerical limitations. ولهذا ورد عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه سمى شهر رمضان شهر الصبر. And consistent with this meaning is come from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessings upon him, that he has named the month of Ramadan the month of patience. There's a hadith related by Abu Dawood to that effect, also Ibn Majah and others. So he says, وفي حديث آخر عنه صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الصوم نصف الصبر خرجه الترمذي. So Imam al-Tirmidhi relates a hadith that fasting is half of all patience, related by Imam al-Tirmidhi. ثم قال والصبر ثلاثة أنواع. And he says patience is of 3 types. صبر على طاعة الله, patience and enduring the hardship that comes in obeying Allah. So Allah says fast, that brings hardship. Allah says get up in the morning before dawn to start the fast, that brings hardship. Fast all day, no matter how hot it gets, that brings hardship. That's the first manifestation.